Hello, this is Art in the Digital World, and I'm your host, Brandon Town. And we have various artists featured on this show to talk about their trade and some of the tech stuff that they deal with. And this week we have someone who I actually know pretty well because we worked on a few projects, but I think he's a great person to have on the show. And so I want to introduce to you Darren Knapp. Thank you very much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
We've had some pretty interesting experiences, I think.
Yes, we have.
doing some movies. But tell me a little bit about what you do.
Well, it started about 15 years ago. A friend of mine got me into filmmaking. I grew up with him. We were school friends. We didn't really hang out much, outside of school. But I knew him from kindergarten, through 12th. And he went to USC for film. After he graduated, and about 4 years later, he came back because his dad lived here in the county, out in Ginnyland, and that's where he grew up. And he came back and was working on a feature film, his first feature, shot just digital, DV, digital video. And he needed some extras and stuff for a few scenes. So in doing that, I went and kind of was hanging out and watching how he covered the scene, how he shot it and stuff. And I was always into photography in high school, and so that's how I got started. Had my own darkroom set up at home and everything, and I loved photography. So it kind of like filmmaking still is really photography for me, mostly. It's all about moving pictures, but I enjoy kind of every step of the process. But anyways, yeah, after that day, he kind of opened something up, I think, inside me that kind of throughout my childhood I noticed was trying to come out. At different times, I was really interested in movies at an early age, and but I didn't really know how to go about making one. And I never thought about actually being able to do one, with a small video camera or whatnot. And now with the advancement of technology and everything, I mean, you can really turn out a pretty good product, with video these days. But when I saw him shooting with this little, video camera, I'm like thinking, I want to do this, And it kind of just unlocked all the mystery that I had about how scenes were shot, how the movies were put together. So kind of all started from there. But now it's just, I enjoy making films, with my friends in my backyard. And, it's a hobby for us. I have a full-time job, and most of the people that that I work with work full-time, so it's kind of we do it in their spare time. And but yeah.
Cool. So what kind of stuff do you do as a in the video?
Well, kind of a little bit of everything. When we all wear many hats. This particular film I'm working on now, it's a collaboration between Jim Miller and I. Jim's been on different shows, on the network, but I started working with him back in 2005, 2006, and we've sort of been collaborating ever since. But after I made a feature film with him, Living by the Gun, and after that took several years to complete because of, again, working, everybody has full-time jobs, and it was a pretty large cast. It was pretty ambitious for us, but anyhow, after that, I kind of wanted to just do something short, get back to something that we can, turn out in a pretty timely fashion, not work on it for 3 years. So I just I had this idea, actually it was about a year ago, and so I outlined it, and Jim and I got together and wrote the script, and took about 3 months or so. And in that process of writing, we were casting, trying to find people, actors and everything. And crew-wise, we usually, it's kind of the same group, that works on all of our films. So that was kind of in place. But the actors, I had a guy in mind from Twain Harte. He puts on the Twain Harte Film Festival. He's one of the people that oversee that. And he kind of was in the back of my mind when I was thinking of the story, because I had met him last year, it was a year and a half ago, when we entered our Western in the festival. So, and he's an actor. He lives down in LA, but he has his godparents live in Twain Harte, so he's up there quite a bit. But anyhow, I was kind of thinking of him for the lead, and so that was kind of taking care of that part, you know. And I always kind of saw him as we were writing. But with this project, I mean, I'm directing it and also doing the photography and the editing, so it's quite a workload. But I enjoy it.
Quite a lot.
Really, yeah, it's really nice because you do learn. You know, as a filmmaker, it's nice to be part of all of that because you learn all the various, you know, steps that it takes to put together a movie. You know, so I mean, it is nice to have other people, you know, working on the film with you to get a different perspective of it and stuff. You know, because you get so focused on your own vision. Sometimes you're not. You got to stand back and, you know, especially in the editing process, it's nice to have. It's nice to have people that, you know, a little test audience that can, you know, view it totally objectively without having any, you know, insight to what went on, you know, during the process. But it's also nice to have, you know, some close friends that work with you all the time that can also give you, you know, advice throughout the process of, you know, editing and stuff as well. So.
Well, we do have a little clip of it, but and we'll show it. But why don't you set it up a little bit? Tell me what it is about and before and. What's the name of it?
Okay, the name of the film is The Missing, and it's about this guy's girlfriend who comes up missing. They basically, kind of the backstory is they had this fight one night, and she goes off on this jog to blow off steam, and she ends up coming up missing. She never comes back. And the film kind of opens with him coming into the bar, and he has talked to the bartender already about his girlfriend and everything. So she's, you know, asking him, you know, you still haven't seen her, and he says, no, I haven't seen her for 4 days. So he's kind of dealing with the guilt, sort of. He thinks, you know, she's gone because of him, but it actually turns out that she was abducted. And through the process, there's a detective in the film who ends up finding out what really happened. And there's sort of a twist I don't want to reveal at this point. But it's a suspense thriller. Hopefully it'll be suspenseful.
And how long is it going to be, do you think?
Probably around 35, 40 minutes. So
Great.
Yeah. It's kind of long for a short film and short for a long film, but you know, it's a nice... I don't know. It worked out to be that length. You know, when you start writing, you really don't think about how long it's going to be. It's just that's what it ended up being. You know, to get the whole story. You know.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the movie or the trailer for the movie that you cut together. So, why don't we go ahead and play that trailer?
Still no word from her?
No, I haven't seen or heard from her in 4 days. I have no idea what's going on.
Have you filed a missing persons report?
I tried calling her family. But in terms of the police, they said it's too early to file a report. Her parents are on vacation right now.
I don't mean to interfere, but did I hear something about a missing person?
Oh, yeah. My girlfriend, she disappeared a few days ago. I can't find her. You seen her?
Howdy. What brings you up here?
Looking for a lost girl?
Well, we ain't seen any lost girls. Why don't you go try the old Miller Ranch? They might know something. Round the pole, put him on!
So what are we gonna do now, Ned?
We're in over our heads, brother.
Wow, that was pretty intense.
That's what most people say.
Yeah.
Their main, they watch it and they go, wow, that's crazy. That's like the common, word that is said. It's funny. It's like, yeah, it is pretty crazy. The trailer does show a lot of the more intense stuff. You got to grab them.
Yeah, of course.
But
Without giving away too much, I'm sure too.
But there's a lot of more suspense, like subtle, suspenseful stuff. Hopefully, in the sort of Hitchcockian way.
That's cool. Good. So, do you have a favorite part to do when you make movies, like camera or editing or
Yeah, again,
writing,
I think camera. Again, I think cinematography is like I said, I kind of started out as a photographer. Just having a love for photography, and that's kind of still where, with this film, this is the first one I've directed in a while. I've only done short films, as far as directing goes. And this one's the first one that I've directed in quite some time. And it's kind of, it's fun, but it's nerve-wracking for me because I'm more photographically inclined, whereas it's hard to sometimes I know what I want the actors to do in my mind, but it's really hard to get them to do what, sometimes. So that kind of frustrates me sometimes because I'm more kind of like into the photography thing. But I like directing as well, but it's just, it gets frustrating, and I'm trying to get, what's going on in my head and try to translate that to the actor. So, so I think photography is the most, is my favorite part of the process, but editing, is secondary to that. I think it's fun.
Do you think you could describe why it is that you like the photography? Like, what is it about the photography as opposed to some of the other stuff that you really like about it?
I really don't know. When I watch films, a lot of times I have to watch them twice because I'll only see the photography, in the first viewing. I'm getting the story and all, but it's kind of like I'm so inundated by all, and I'm watching cuts and stuff. It's horrible once you become a filmmaker because then you watch movies differently. You don't, you're really kind of picking them apart, which is part of the education. I didn't go to film school. It's kind of self-taught and just watch a lot of films and try to think, how they lit it and stuff like that, and how they pulled off the camera move or whatever, So it's kind of like it's turned into more of the first viewing is analyzing it, and then I can sit back and watch it again. It's you pick up more of the story and stuff, but. Yeah, I really don't know what it is about photography. It's just always, I don't know. I've always loved, just lighting is such a key thing. And I just like how it can bring on a mood in someone. You can really control with lighting and everything, and control their, the mood of the film, the look of the film and stuff, so.
Now, you said you first started doing photography and you had a dark room. Mm-hmm. So what was it like to transition from, film to digital?
It was actually really exciting. I miss the dark room, actually, because, it's kind of a thing of the past, really. With digital, photography and everything. You don't have that part of the process. You have Photoshop, you do post-production, manipulation and stuff with digital photographs as well, but it's just not the same sort of feeling, You don't smell the chemicals and everything, But it's a whole different experience. But I think with, what was the question again? I'm sorry.
I was just talking about the differences between film versus, digital.
Oh, versus digital. Yeah, with film, the process, it makes it a lot easier with digital and editing, because, with film, it's totally different, because you have to process the film and then, cut it. A lot of films are cut, digitally anyways now, and then it's conformed to the actual film negative. But I just totally, I don't know, it's totally different.
Do you think that you might want to work in film one day, actually make a whole movie with 35 or 16 or something, even though
I've thought about it.
less and less
but
of
it's so
the
much
people are making it. But
I think a big thing is the cost factor. Like we with our films, they're technically, we call them no budget films, because that's what we have to do. There isn't money, so we try to cater the story around, something that is doable, with our resources. So,
That's cool. So what kinds of things did you learn from doing, you've done a couple of them, and we actually worked on one that was kind of a no-budget film. What kinds of things do you think you've learned from doing those types of films, as opposed to something maybe where you're getting paid to do this project and stuff like that? So
it seems like every project you do, you learn so much more, But I don't know. It's really nice to do. You don't feel the pressure, At the level that we make films, that I make films at, it's kind of like there's no pressure there, so there's room to experiment and stuff like that, and be able to take a little bit of risk, just do what it's all kind of an instinctual thing with me, you just got to go with your instinct, whether it's the right thing or not, but it usually turns out.
And how do you coordinate with people to do all this, since everybody's kind of working? What do you do to coordinate and keep that kind of coordination going?
A lot of texting. No, no, that's actually the biggest headache of the way we make films, is trying to get everybody's schedules to coincide and everything. It always works out, but it's funny because when you start, I always forget that part of the process, when I start thinking of a new story and it's like I'm getting all excited and everything and I'm seeing it in my head and, you're getting excited to film, and then it comes time to schedule everybody, we start getting ready to film, and then it just comes back to you like, oh yes, I got to worry about scheduling again, and people, being able to line everything up. And then once that happens, there's always little things. Everybody has, a lot going on, so including myself. So it ends up, a lot of times just you can't get together, so you just got to bear with it and until we can. And it's a lot of like weekend stuff mostly. I'm off every other weekend, so that kind of dictates the shooting schedule. But with this film, it was nice. We actually, a lot of us, the key players, were able to take off a week, and we shot about half the film, 32 scenes or something like that. So it was nice to get a huge chunk of it done, be able to get up every day and just work on it, and get most of it done. But yeah, it's a lot of just kind of, like I said, texting nowadays, just, trying to line everybody up and getting, week by week, really. You can't really sit down and come up with a schedule and a plan, you just got to kind of be really loose with that, and just play it by ear. It's like a week by week thing, pretty much.
Now, when you are done filming and you're editing, how often do you consult other people or have other people look at parts or the whole film or do recuts and stuff like that?
I usually try to, in the past it was like I didn't want to show anybody until it was completed. It's like, all right, now I'm going in my room and I'm just going to cut this thing together. But it is really helpful to have other eyes on it. And what's really nice about the technology today is I can, cut some scenes together and throw them in my Dropbox and, send a link to Manuel or Jim and they can see it instantly, and give feedback and stuff, So it's really nice.
And what are your plans for this movie? What are you going to do when it's done?
It's funny, everybody asks me that, and it's like, I never really think about that, It's like you're just so caught up in, creating this, thing. You're just excited about putting something that's in your mind out onto this medium that, people can see what you're, envisioning, what you're seeing. So I don't think too much about that, but we're going to go with, try to get it out into different film festivals and stuff, just locally, and there's a whole slew of them. You go online, you can find all kinds of short film festivals out there. So that's pretty much with this one. Being a short film, just kind of try to get a little bit of exposure.
Well, I'd love to talk about style, something I talk about with a lot of the artists, no matter what they do, about kind of like maybe how do you develop your style of filmmaking? Doing something that is unique, that when people look at it, they think that's Darren Knapp. Do you feel like you have? Well, I shouldn't say you feel like you. I mean, I know you have it.
I was going to say, I don't know if I do or not, actually.
But how do you? What do you think about that and about the style of your stuff?
It is weird because, I mean, obviously, I watch a lot of movies, and you can tell. I mean, not every film. A lot of them, you can pick out the directors that have a specific style. And I don't know if I have that or not. It's kind of weird. I never really think about it. Again, I kind of just do what feels right to me. Whether it's right or wrong. I mean, it's you kind of just go on instinct and hope it comes out. So I mean, I have had friends in the past mention that I do have a certain style. I mean, they can tell it's a film that I made, but I don't know what that is. I can't define it. I really can't. It's funny.
Do you think that's something that you want to learn more about for yourself?
Yeah, I'm constantly, I'm pretty critical of myself, like wanting to, I mean, when it comes to photography and editing, I'm always trying to push it, It feels like I need to learn more, You feel like you never know enough, Like, I mean, I don't think you ever reach a point where, I don't think you ever reach that point. It feels like a constant learning process. I feel like it'll never end, It's like each film's an education,
And whatever your style is, or you think it is or not, do you think that there is a similar style in your photography and your editing? I mean, they're two different mediums because you're doing both. Do you feel like the kind of your approach towards photography is similar to your approach towards editing?
I think so. With editing, I think it is hard to actually cut your own footage because you're partial of the photography, and sometimes you make choices, editing choices based on just the photography, which is not all. Sometimes you got to look at the whole picture, the performances and everything, and so I tend to. I'll cut something and then I'll have to go back and tweak it a little bit, changing gears and going, okay, like, is this, am I just partial to this, shot? This might be better, So, I don't know. I really don't think about. I kind of go on like autopilot when I get in front of the computer.
And I don't want to get too technical, but can you tell us a little bit about what kind of equipment you use, what kind of software you use, computers and stuff like that?
Really, I mean, the last few films I've just cut on a little iMac, in my bedroom. So it's nothing too spectacular. But I used Final Cut Pro as the editing software. It was kind of the mainstream, software that was used, even in film. But there's, Avid and Adobe. There's, several others. But Final Cut is what I've used. I've used that pretty much, from the get-go. And as far as equipment, camera, and all sound equipment and everything is borrowed here from the studio. Probably about 95% of the equipment is, equipment from here, from the studio. And what I don't have as far as sound equipment and stuff. It's really nice to be able to that the studio's here to be able to provide that.
What do you think about some of the new stuff that's coming out, like new technologies like 4K or 3D or mobile? I mean, do you think that there's any sort of new way of video that's going to be really prominent in what people use or how people view things?
I don't know. It's really frustrating that it does progress so quickly because you can't keep up with it. But I don't know. I mean, there's 2K and 4K cameras coming out that are prosumer level, that within reach. So I mean, that's definitely and 2K TVs and stuff. I mean, they're just around the corner. So I mean, that's probably the next big thing for us.
Do you have an interest in working in it, if you can, working in that medium at all, or learning how to use it, or
Oh yeah, if I can get my hands on it, I'm game.
like you mentioned a red camera, that'd be pretty nice to
Oh
shoot
yes,
with one of those.
yeah, I would love to. I don't feel worthy.
I
can't buy one. No.
Yeah, right. More like you don't feel like your pocketbook's big enough.
Yeah, that's more appropriate.
Right. So what is kind of next? Now that you're kind of getting close to being done with this movie, or maybe you're already done, but do you have any plans for your next project?
I'm always having stories pop into my head. It's like that's kind of one of the problems with this film we started at the end of last summer, and we just we wrapped up photography. We do have a few scenes to pick up, but we're pretty much wrapped up on photography. But it's kind of like when it is stretched out over a period of time, because we can only do a little bit, every few weeks or whatnot. You already start thinking of the next project. It's like I haven't fizzled out on this one, but it's like you want to move on to that next project. So it's always there. But yeah, there's several little ideas, just premises, but it's stuff to go off of.
Do you think that you'll maybe do the same kind of method of, doing on the weekends, friends, kind of just getting things all volunteer and stuff?
Yeah. At this point, I mean, that's kind of what we have to do. So it's not a choice. But I don't know. I'm really passionate about it, and it's really nice to work with people here in the county that I've met over the years, and all real humble, real laid back people. So the feeling on the set, when you're filming, there's never any problems at all. It makes it really fun. So it's a nice place to be. Obviously it would be nice to to do that for a living, but at this point, just keep having fun with it, and see where it takes you. But over the course, the last 15 years, I've met several people. Actors and different people that that are passionate about filmmaking, and so it's ever growing in this community. I think there's every time you turn around, there's a new filmmaker. It's nice. It's really cool, and it's fun collaborating with them.
Yeah, it's been fun for me. I've been here for about 5 years, and I come up here, and it's like, at first I thought there was nothing here, and then the more and more, it's like, oh, there actually is quite a bit of people.
They all start coming out of the woodworks.
Yeah. So. Well, Darren, that's about all the time we have. Thank you very much for coming onto the show.
Thanks for having me.
Having you here. And thank you for watching Art in the Digital World. Just want to let you guys know, too, that the TV station has a Facebook page. You can check it out by the link that's on the screen right there. Come and like our page for some pictures, updates, and the schedule, and tons of other fun stuff. Have a great day. Thanks.